Chef Laura, I turn things over to your capable hands.
Thanks, Daniel. Thanks everyone for coming. So nice to see so many friendly faces. Okay, so I know that we had talked last week about having
Laura,
our... Oh, yes.
Can someone give me a thumbs? Are we hearing Chef Laura? Thumbs up or down? We are hearing Chef Laura's. Okay, so it's just me. Continue.
So last week we were talking about having our cookies made, baked, and cooled down for decorating tonight, okay? You never want to decorate a warm cookie. Your icing will slide right off, okay? So I've just taken the initiative to make my own royal icing. So there was a recipe that was posted on the website. But if you could not find meringue powder, it seems to be a hot commodity these days. You can always make it with egg whites. So please, please, please use pasteurized egg whites so no one gets sick. Usually it would be about 4 egg whites to about 4 cups of sugar, and then you would add an acid, so a little bit of lemon juice, and then you would just beat it on high speed for about 5 minutes. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to show you mine. So this is just right off the mixer, so quite thick. Okay. So not going anywhere. Okay. So I'm going to show you the different consistencies you're going to need for your icing. Okay, so I just have a little bit of water handy. Okay, so we're going to do 3 different techniques. I'm just going to cover my royal icing too with a nice wet cloth so that your icing doesn't crust. Okay, so you always want to cover your royal icing with a wet cloth. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple different techniques. So we're going to do a dipping technique. We're going to do an outline and flood technique. And then we're also going to do a hybrid icing technique, which is just go one time with your icing. Okay, everybody good? Okay, Daniel, I seem to have a lag in my camera.
Oh, you mean from what you are doing to what you're seeing?
Yeah, is that okay?
That's okay. I think we're gonna have to muscle through it.
Okay.
We'll have to blame. I don't know, the QEP manager or something.
Okay.
She's shaking her head. So.
All right. So I'm just going to start with 2 bowls, and I'm going to cover back up my icing. Okay. So this one is still pretty thick. So I'm going to add a little bit of water. Okay. So just a little bit of water at a time, because it's a lot easier to add water than it is to take it away, okay? So here we're gonna look for an icing. I know on the recipe I said the hybrid icing, 20 to 25 seconds. So what that means is that when you pull your icing across the top, it will take 20 to 25 seconds for it to dissolve back into your icing. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So don't do this to all your icing. So just take a little bit at a time, because we're going to do 3 different consistencies for our icing.
Chef Laura, I'm just going to jump in here. So if anyone, I know I had mentioned to write your questions or concerns in the chat, but noting that people are going to have flour and everything, feel free if you want to jump in, just turn your mic off, and then I'm sure we'll hear you. I kind of gave you an impossible task. So this looks pretty good for a hybrid icing. I don't know if anybody can see, so I'm going to drizzle, and then you count until it kind of dissolves back into your icing. So this one is good to go. Okay, so I'm going to cover it with a wet cloth, and I'm going to move on to my second icing. Okay, so this one I'm going to make a little bit more on the runny side, okay? And this is going to be our flooding icing. So this one's just going to flow into the outline of our cookie. So if you are making a cookie that requires a lot of detail it's best to flood or to ice and flood your cookies and then let them sit overnight so that you can pipe directly onto your cookie. Makes things a lot easier. I'm just going to add a bit more water here. This one, remember, is going to be quite loose. And don't worry, you'll get there with practice. Okay, so this one you can see is quite runny. So once it hits the icing, then it pretty much dissolves right away into your mix. Okay, so I'm going to cover that one up. Okay, and then our last icing, we'll do like a toothpaste consistency, and that one will be for detailing. Okay, and again, remember to cover your royal icing, okay? So this one, we're only going to add a touch of water. And this one we'll use if you're going to do some writing or some detail work, then this is going to be a perfect icing for that. So we'll kind of have the look of toothpaste. Okay, so that's good. Everybody doing okay?
It looks like I see a lot of stirring.
Perfect.
Yeah, I can see that Deborah, the Hallman kids, Deborah Gomes, Francis, Susan, Mary Ellen, and Anthony are all joining you. It looks like they're cooking alongside you. So hopefully everyone's caught up. I don't know if anyone has any questions about their consistency, if they want to show it to the camera, but it looks like everyone's doing okay. Everyone seems to be keeping up. The Hallman kids are showing you what looks like they're flooding.
I think that looks good. It's hard to tell from here.
I know.
Okay. So I'm going to do, we're going to do the dip method. We're going to pipe first so they have a little bit of time to set, and then we'll do a dip method. Okay. All right. So does everyone have their piping bags? Okay, so I have tipless piping bags, which means that it doesn't have, you don't have to use like a coupler and a tip, okay? If you don't have these, that's no problem. I really like these ones personally. If you have another bag, so something like this, it's a reusable bag, which these are perfect. So I find what's handy with your piping bag, okay, if you make a cuff at the top, so you're just going to bring this down and have your hand inside, so it kind of looks like a puppet, okay? And then you can put in your coupler, and that goes all the way down into your bag. And then the nice thing about this is that you can change up your piping tips. Okay, so let's see. We're just going to use just a round tip. Okay, so then you would just put it on like this. Okay, so when you are putting icing in your piping bags, so I like to make the cup, okay, so that your hand doesn't get dirty. And I'm actually just going to tint my hybrid icing a different color just so that you can see it more on the cookie, okay? So I just have some AmeriColor. It's a concentrated color that you can get at some specialty shops where you only have to use a tiny amount. We'll make a nice Wedgwood blue. And then that way you can kind of see what I'm doing here.
Hey,
And
Chef,
this will be,
as they're preparing their piping bags, what tip number are we using?
I would use the smallest opening.
Smallest opening, okay.
Like if you have a kid, it's a teeny tiny.
Okay.
Let me see.
Thank you, Kylie, for the question.
Thank you, Kylie. Like a number 2. Okay, so when you are lining or loading up your piping bag, some people like to put it in a glass. You can do it like this, and then it's a lot easier to put your icing in. Okay,
I prefer just to hold my bag. So you only ever want to fill your bag maybe halfway. Okay? You don't want it exploding out the top. Okay, so then when you have your bag, you're going to make an L with your thumb and your pointer finger. And then basically you're going to crimp the side down and then push the icing down in your bag. Did everybody see that? So you're making an L and then turning like this, and then you're pushing all your icing down.
So which icing is this that we're using now?
Right, so this is the hybrid icing.
Hybrid icing.
Okay, so if you are using a tipless bag, then when you go to cut your tip at the bottom, make sure that your seam is on the top. Okay, and then you always want to just start with a very small hole because it's a lot easier to cut after. Make sure you know where your little piece goes. Okay, and then you can always do a trial drip. Okay, everybody good? Okay, so I'm going to show you how to pipe now. I'm just going to do it on a tray. Start with some snowflakes. Okay.
Is everyone, I'm just trying to look on camera here, is everyone okay with their piping bags? I'm seeing
Everyone's
thumbs.
good with their hybrid icing?
I'm seeing thumbs go in the right direction. Excellent.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so make sure before you start piping, twist the top of your bag so it doesn't start coming out the top, okay? All right, so when you are piping, you're going to be going at about a 90-degree angle on your cookie, and then you're just going to do an outline. Remember guys, this is all practice. So you're just going to outline your cookie. Okay, and then because this is the hybrid icing, this is really easy to go back in and just kind of fill it in. If your icing is too thick, it's not going to, you're going to get a lot of like lumps, I guess, in your icing. But this looks pretty good. Pretty good. And then you can just give it a little wiggle on your tray, and that will help spread out the icing, make it smooth.
Awesome.
Everybody good? I'll show you another one, okay? Can everybody see at this angle? Everyone's probably really absorbed into their own cookie.
I was going to say, we're seeing a lot of heads down right now, which is great.
Okay. Okay, and then this just gets filled right in.
There's some not so confident faces out there, if I'm being honest.
That's okay. This is all about practice. I've
Hopefully
had lots of practice, so it probably looks easy, but it's not when you first start.
Hopefully people are at least having fun.
Well, you get to eat later, right?
Yeah.
So that's something. Okay, so if anybody is having any experience with an air bubble or a bubble on top of their cookie, there's something that's called a Scribe Tool. It looks like this. It looks kind of like a needle on a stick. So if you have an air bubble, I don't have one here, but I'll just show you what to do if you do have an air bubble. So you want to go in on an angle. You don't want to pop it up and down. So if you have an air bubble, then you would just go and tap the air bubble to let out the trapped air, and then just give your cookie a little jiggle on your tray.
It actually looks like some people have a Scribe Tool. I saw Kylie actually has one.
That's perfect. If you don't have a Scribe Tool, that's okay. You know what it works is a toothpick.
Yeah.
But a Scribe Tool, if you're going to decorate a lot of cookies, they're pretty handy. Okay, I'll do one more as a hybrid icing, and then we'll move on to the outline and the flooding. Okay. So you can follow your shape around or whatever shape you're doing.
Okay. So this one you want to make sure your consistency is okay, or your icing will go off the side. Whereas if you are doing a pipe, like a border and a flood, then there's less chance of that happening. How's it going, Teresa? That's good. Everyone's doing a great job. Okay. So I'm going to start another bag for our outlining. Oh, Deborah. I know, they're a hot commodity, those piping bags. Okay, so I'm going to put in our detail icing. Ellen, how's it going? Good. Yeah, how are you doing? Okay? Good? Good.
Some people have mixed in some interesting colors. I saw Anthony, Anthony Lucic looks like they might be ahead of you. Deborah is Ziploc bag piping.
That's good.
I think they were sold out, so they're making it and modifying.
All right, so I'll show you. Are you guys ready for the outline? Everybody good? Okay. So I will show you a snowflake outline, and then we'll do a flooding, okay? So this one, again, you're going to be 90 degrees over your cookie, and then you're just going to do your outline. Okay, and that's just going to set for a second while we get our next bag ready. Okay, so I'm going to load my flooding icing into this bag. Make sure to keep your royal icing covered up.
I haven't seen anyone eat a cookie yet. Chef, this is pretty impressive. Great restraint.
We're still early in.
There's a little one in jammies with Susan that I've seen eat a fair bit of icing, but
Does it taste good?
not a cookie yet. Oh, I'm embarrassed. I'm sorry.
Daniel.
Hey.
Okay, so now we've got our flooding icing. So we're on our cookie with the outline. So your flooding icing will be a little bit runny. So just be mindful when you're putting your bag onto your cookie. So same idea. You just go around the piped edges. And you can see that basically it kind of acts like a dam. So it's not going to go over your cookie here. And then you just kind of fill in and see how it just kind of flows into the corners. And then if you have your Scribe tool, you can actually push your icing a little bit too to the corners to get a nice sharp point. Okay, so I have an air bubble here, so I'm going to go in on an angle and pop my air bubble.
Do you have a tip on the flooding icing bag or no?
No, all my bags right here are tipless.
Okay.
But if you're going to have, use the smallest opening.
Okay.
Okay, so let me do another one. So I have some Christmas stockings. So I'm going to just outline again.
So just so I'm understanding as you're doing that, Chef, so there was one hybrid, which you could do the outline and the flood.
Correct.
And then there's the outline and the
Yep, the detail, and then, so the detail, the flooding, and the hybrid.
Okay.
I know it's a bit confusing.
No, that's okay.
So I'll do a second one here.
But it's all the same
Yeah,
icing.
Laura, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
If you want to use a color,
Yeah.
should you, with your, I don't know, your most stiff icing,
Yeah.
should you like color it first and then pipe it, and then should you thin that same color, or how should you make the color match if you're trying to do the outline and the fill?
Yep, then you would do it, color it first.
You would color the stiffer icing first, or both the different containers?
You would do both. Like if
Okay.
you were gonna pipe red, then you would pipe your outlining consistency, your detail,
Okay.
red, and then you would tint your other one a little the same red.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Sometimes what I do is I'll just do a bigger batch. I'll fill up my bag first, and then with that leftover icing, I'll just add more water and have that as my flood. Okay, so I'm gonna, let's see. So I'll just fill this in white, and then I'm just gonna show you the difference here. So I'm gonna quickly do this. Okay. So when you're working with two colors, you want to make sure that there's a little bit of drying time between adding your first and second color. Otherwise, they're going to bleed into each other. And that's never fun to try and fix that. Okay, so we're going to let these ones sit for a few minutes. Now, if you wanted to finish your, like just say decorations on your snowflakes, then you would use your detail icing. That's my flooding. Here's my detail. Ideally, it's better if it's dried, so it's a little bit more forgiving. But here you can use your stiff icing or your detail icing, and then you can just pipe right onto your cookie, but not touching your cookie. So you're just doing like a drop and drag, if that makes sense. I don't know if you guys can see. So I'm just pushing down, dropping my icing, and then I'm just going to pull the icing with my bag. So what I'll show you again. So here we've got our drop. So we're putting pressure on our bag, and then gentle pressure. We're going to pull the icing down the cookie. Okay, again, pressure, 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 a little bit of pressure and pulling, and then no pressure and touching down. Okay, so again, drop down, pressure, 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 pulling, 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 and then stopping, but keep pulling, and then you do a gentle touch down. Does that make sense?
It does. The feed is a little grainy, which
okay.
There's nothing you can do about for some of this detail. But yeah, it's certainly something that it's a bit of a struggle to see the detail.
Okay. So then again, when you're going back to do some of the detailing on your snowflakes or whatever you've decided to bake. So again, you're just doing a drop method. So again, easier if you let these dry overnight, or if you have a fan, it takes a little bit less time. Just make sure you clean your fan so that there's no dust. And then you can just go and decorate however you wish.
So decorating a cookie, if it was very detailed, you'd have to do over days?
Yeah, sometimes even 3.
Wow.
Like especially if there's a lot of layering. There's a couple cookies that I've done in the past where it's a 3-day project. And then you can just decorate however you want. No snowflake is the same. So when you dry your cookies and then you pipe on your design, the nice thing about that is that you can add a sprinkle, right? So because here, I have some white sprinkles here. So if I was to put this on now, I'll just show you, instead of it just sticking to the white design, it's going to stick to the blue as well because the blue's still a little bit wet. But if you are going to be using a sanding sugar of any kind on a detailed piping, then you want to make sure you do it as soon as possible while the icing is still wet. Okay, also add some nice sparkle. Okay, can everybody see?
Are you able to bring it a little bit closer?
Yeah. Is that, it's hard for me to see because oh, there we go.
Yeah, that's much better. We can really see the detail now from this lens.
Do you want me to try and pipe up here?
No, that's okay. I think it's just important now that people can kind of see the detail that was going into some of that work.
So maybe I can try, I can do like a drop in, okay, is that, can you see that? Okay, so for the drop, I'm seeing this at a different angle. So we're doing a drop and a drop, like a drop and a pull. Whoop. Okay.
Now, I'm not sure if folks at home are experiencing the same grainy feed as me, if it's just because you and I are sharing the same internet connection, but certainly I can see the detail much clearer.
Okay. Sorry, it's really hard for me to pipe like that.
It's okay. The manager of the facility is actually on this call, so maybe we can advocate for boosting the internet connection in the community kitchen.
Right, just on Wednesdays.
We got a thumbs up, yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted to show you two. So now that we've got, this one's a little bit more dry. So when you are adding a second color, I'll just use the hybrid icing on our stocking. So we're not going, I can see that it's already started to crust over here so that you're going to be able to do a second color. Okay, so I'm just going to pipe here. So it's not going to bleed in between. And then I'll just fill in. Okay, so if you are at this stage and you're like, oh, Laura, I want to do something a little bit different than that, you can always go back on wet icing. You can put a lot of your sparkles on if you want, or if you wanted to, you could always make a design on your icing. And then this will actually sink into your icing. So it won't be sitting on top of your icing like this. So I don't know if you can kind of see the difference here.
If we, if one of the staff members assisting Laura in there want to see if they can drop the camera down slightly, but that
would
may
be a
look
good
great.
idea.
This is
Is that
our
a bit
most,
better?
this is our most detailed work yet.
Yes. Okay, so even if you wanted to do something like this and it's wet icing on wet icing, you can also use your scribing tool to make a design in your stocking.
You may just have to move that stocking up slightly. A little
Okay, here, let me do another line so people can see.
Great.
Okay. So this is wet icing on wet icing. So you can always use your scribe tool to make a pattern in the top just by going zigzag, or you could do swirls, or there's lots of, can everybody see that?
Unfortunately,
No?
you're going the wrong way.
Oh, sorry,
There
this
we
way.
go. Yeah.
Oh,
There we
sorry
go.
guys.
That's quite all right. No, I
Where am
appreciate
I? Sorry, with the lag, I can't tell
it.
which way I'm going.
There we go.
All right, so I'm gonna do it again. So we'll do detailed piping like this.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Okay, and then it's again wet on wet icing. So you can just go with your scribe tool or your toothpick and make a pattern. Something like that. Or you
Lovely.
could do polka dots or whatever you like.
Great.
Okay. And then you can also use your piping bag. Let's see. So to do any kind of outline works. And a heel, lots of different things that you can do here. Are you guys ready to see one more technique?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna move these for a sec. So if piping is not your thing and you're like, oh my gosh, Laura, seriously, this might be a little bit easier for you. Okay, so because I'm a little bit low here on icing, and you know what? I've got lots of ones that are already kind of made up. I'm just gonna take a mixture of the icings that I already have done because I'm going to make kind of like a mixture between the flooding and the hybrid dressing, or icing. Okay, we'll get a little bit more here so you can see. And this is really fast. And you can really do any kind of shape. So I usually just use a shallow bowl.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want it too thick where it sticks to the cookie but doesn't run off a little bit. So again, it's just going to be kind of a mixture between the hybrid and the flooding. This is great when you need to get some cookies done fairly quickly. You don't have a lot of time. Let's see.
You're not making cookies for friends.
That's right. Not when you take a lot of time and love and care. Not true. You should anyway, every time you bake. All right, so this is this, okay? So then you take your cookie, and then what you're gonna do is you're just going to dip it, okay? And then have a little look to see how it's going. If it's covering the whole surface, and then you can actually clean up the edges a little bit and give it a little shake. So here you're going to find that you have air bubbles. So again, this is where you use your handy tools, and you can even move the icing around a little bit.
I feel like a lot of finger licking would take place in this method.
Yeah. And then you can even tap your cookie a little bit just to settle your icing. Okay, so I'll put that on the tray. If you want it to be super fancy, you can add some colors, okay? So I have just like a blush color. So again, you could use whatever color you want. You can just do a few drops here and there. And how about we do some purple? Let's see. I'm going to do a few drops here and there. Some pretty regal colors. Okay, so watch this. So now I've got my cookie and I'm going to dip, but I'm going to dip straight on to where the colors are. Okay, so I'm going to do a dip and I'm going to twist a little bit. And then I'm going just to kind of shake off some of the icing. And then you have a nice marbled looking cookie. Okay, so pretty easy, right guys? Okay, so let's do another one. So dip, give it a kind of a little twist in here. And then I'm just going to shake off some of the excess icing. Okay, so you have like a nice marbled effect. Okay.
Very cool.
Yeah, so this is super easy. Okay. All right. And again, if you have lots of air bubbles, let's go back in. I like the purple. Whoops.
Okay. Let's see. All right, and you can use whatever colors you like. So if you wanted to use red and green for Christmas, that would be nice too. All right. I picked a darker color so you guys might be able to see a little bit better.
Yeah.
And then once those kind of dry a little bit, then you can go back with your detail icing. One sec.
Kylie and Isla are big fans. So that's
Oh, thank you. Glad you guys could be here. Okay, so then I've got my detail consistency. Sometimes make sure that when you are using your piping bag, before you start to pipe again on your cookies, just kind of press a little bit out of the tip because sometimes the icing dries on the bottom of your tip and then it doesn't come out straight from your bag. Okay, so then at this point, usually this would be a little bit more dry. Then you could go back and do some detail work. So again, we're going here, so it's going to sink in, but you're going to do the drop and drag. Okay, and then you can just do a little bit more detail work. It's hard to see the white on the white, I apologize. Can you guys see that?
perfect. If you're able to, yeah, that's great. Bring it a little closer.
Closer to me.
You
Okay.
can see the subtle snowflake on it.
Yeah, so if you can see that. And then if you're ever wandering the aisles at Michael's or the Bulk Barn, there are some pretty fun luster dusts that you can buy. So this one's actually called Snowflake, and it's a glittery dust. And you can put that onto your cookies too. So I'll just show you maybe on a snowflake that might be able to see better. Okay, let's do this one. So I like to use a paintbrush. So if you're going to be using a paintbrush for your cookies, you only use them for cookies. You don't use them for painting, okay? So I usually just take a little bit out, and you can see it's really nice and bright and shiny. So you can either brush it on when they're dry, or you can do a little sprinkle just with your finger. And then I'll try and bring it up here so you guys can see how shiny it is. Very sparkly.
Oh, I see. You can see the light hitting it slightly.
Can you see it?
You get.
Sorry, guys.
No, that's okay. Thank you, Nabil. I don't know if that's you in there working the camera. Much appreciated. It's a demanding episode.
How's everyone doing? Okay. It's a lot to take in 45 minutes. And remember, practice, practice, practice.
I just see very busy people, Chef Laura.
There's lots of busy.
Lots of busy.
Does anybody have any questions about icing consistencies? No.
The Hallman family.
That's okay, Cass.
Yeah.
They're still going to taste great.
Hey, Chef Laura, before we wrap up this this episode of For the Love of Cooking, maybe we can see if anyone has a cookie that's at a stage that maybe they're ready to show it off. We can switch to I don't know how folks are viewing it, but if we switch to gallery view, we can see everyone's. Okay, so I see the Hallman family has, it looks like a boot.
Oh, love it. Oh, guys, they look great.
Oh, Anthony Lucic, it looks like they dipped their snowflake.
Oh, nice colors.
Very cool, very modern. And then
I love that mask.
yeah, I was gonna say you look like Owlette kinda.
Very
Ella-
nice.
And it's PJ's too. She looks like Ella from PJ Masks.
I love
Oh,
it.
that
Ellen, that
window
looks
is very
great.
detailed.
Oh, I love that. Oh, nice job. I love the reindeer with the red nose.
Kylie and Mary Ellen are still working. Deborah, I see that there is some canes, it looks like, and maybe some stockings. Nice job, everyone.
Remember, if you want to do your base coat on your cookies tonight, then tomorrow you can come back to it. When you're storing your icing, royal icing actually is a very versatile icing. So if you're not going to use it right away, you can put it in a covered bowl and put it in your freezer. Okay. Even sometimes when I have piping bags like this, I actually just push down the the tip part, and I tie this in a knot, and then I put this right into the freezer in a bag so it doesn't leak.
So what I will do, everyone, and we've done this before, is if folks want to send their finished product to public.art@oakville.ca, what I'll do is, because we do publish these videos on YouTube, on the town's YouTube page for everyone to watch if they did want to participate at a later date. But at the end of the video, I'll make sure I put your finished product. So if you want to send pictures to public.art@oakville.ca, I'll make sure that your final products are at the end of the video when we publish it. And before we go, thank you guys so much, everyone, for participating in. Oh, I'm sorry. It just looks like I sent that email to private message, but I'll send that to everyone. But before we go, thank you guys so much for being live and participating with us. And thank you to the parents who are certainly going to be cleaning mess tonight and maybe dealing with some hyper children after consuming lots of sugar. But it's obviously a meaningful activity, and so glad that we got to share this with you. Chef Laura, is there anything you wanted to say before we end our episode?
Actually, just one more thing. When you are storing your dried cookies, you can store them in, once they are completely dry, you can actually stack them and put them in an airtight container. But if you are going to eat them right away, then just enjoy it anytime. But great job, everyone, and good luck with your holiday baking. Yes, you can. Look, you can freeze them. Yes, just make sure they're in a wrapped, once they're dry, then put them in a Ziploc bag.
Perfect. Okay, well, thank you guys so much. We look forward to seeing everyone next Wednesday. Chef Laura, can we tease what's happening?
Oh, nice, llama. Sorry. Oh, next week? Yes, we're going to talk about how to use up your Christmas leftovers. I think we are going to do a pot pie.
Cool. So how to utilize your Christmas leftovers next week. Kylie, way to sneak that llama in. That was awesome. We'll see you guys next week at 5:30. And if you do find yourself having time throughout the remainder of the week, know that tomorrow morning we do at 10 o'clock have yoga. And then the following day at 9 a.m. we have mindfulness and gratitude. But certainly there's enough tonight to be grateful for.
So next week, guys, actually, it's going to be 7 again. We're at 7. We're decorating at 7. Or we're not decorating. We're pot pie making at 7.
Did I say 5:30?
Oh, yes. Yes.
7 o'clock. I'm on a different planet.
Oh, sorry, guys. We're not doing that next week. We're doing food. Sorry, Daniel. First, we're doing Food for Life rescued food. And we're actually doing a lemon potato cake.
Ah, okay, perfect.
That's what we're doing at 5.
I'm representing with the hat. So what we do every month, guys, is we do an episode on cooking with rescued food. So with our partners from Food for Life, so they're the largest provider and of food security here in Oakville. So many families in Oakville actually either pick up food from food banks or get them delivered to their house. And to teach basically those folks and really everyone on what they can make with that food, we do episodes of cooking with rescued food. So next week, Chef Laura is going to take one of those bags that many Oakville families will receive, and she's going to make something creative with it. And we did get to taste test it last week. So it was basically, we're making a cake, but instead of using flour, we are using mashed potato. which is surprisingly delicious. So
It's
look
really,
for-
it's a great recipe. And then the week after Christmas, guys, we'll be using our Christmas leftovers,
Perfect.
which would make the most sense. Yeah.
Clearly the show is very well rehearsed. Okay, everyone. Have a very nice evening and a nice weekend. Bye now.
Thanks, everyone.